In trying to figure out how to do Ariadne at the Meydenbauer, we realized that since the orchestra wouldn't quite fit, it would almost fit in the pit, but not quite. I asked my designer, Donald Eastman, to come up with some sort of production concept that could include the orchestra on stage. And the orchestra, in fact, will be on stage, but not in any way like you would normally see in a semi-staged opera production. This is fully staged, and the orchestra, it sort of happens around, above, and under the orchestra. Seattle Opera is always very supportive of our productions, and so they have set up our whole rehearsal space in a way akin to what it will be there, which is very interesting because it means Brian Garman is no longer sitting at my right side. He and the piano are quite far from us, but we have video set up so the singers can see what's going on and we can talk to each other, and it's unusual and kind of fun. The first question any sane person might ask is, why would a young artist program try to do Ariadne auf Naxos? I had no idea that we would be doing this when we first were hearing people for this year's Young Artist program. But as we heard the auditions, we realized that we had 3 different kinds of sopranos who were going to be with us this year. I started thinking about what we could do, and I realized that in fact we had an Ariadne, a composer, and a zerbinetta in place. And so we have 2 sets of singers. We have the opera singers and we have the sort of hipster performance artist singers who have come into contact with each other. I think it's kind of like this show is in a sense like what would happen if Teatro Zinzanni all of a sudden decided to be a part of the production of Tristan and Isolde. It would be a rather shocking and bizarre thing, but in fact might lead to interesting conflict. Creative friction, if you will. So that's, of course, built into our piece, and that's what we're going to be experimenting with, which, of course, has given us a chance to come up with some very fun ideas for the costuming, especially for the troupe, the Commedia dell'arte troupe. And those of you who are Commedia experts will note that despite the hipster garb that our singers are going to be wearing, the color scheme is based on the original colors that their Commedia characters have. Just a word about why this is going to be a special experience, aside from the fact that it's Ariadne, which in my mind is always special, because it's such a beautiful score with such ravishing music and really transfiguring storyline. This is a chance to see this piece in a 435-seat theater, as opposed to in a 4,000-seat theater. It's an intimate experience. It's an extraordinary experience with a small orchestra. I think the orchestra is 37 or 38 pieces. And to be able to experience that close up is really something that you shouldn't miss. I also have to say that we're going to be doing some things a little differently in this production because, you know me, I like the occasional theatrical surprise.